Welcome to Employment Law This Week. I'm George Whipple. Our top story, New Jersey passes sweeping equal pay legislation. Governor Murphy has signed what some claim are the strongest equal pay restrictions in the country. The new legislation amends the state's Law Against Discrimination to prohibit employers from paying members of a protected class less than other employees for substantially similar work. The legislation allows employees in those protected classes to recoup up to 6 years of back pay and prohibits employers from taking action against employees who discuss wages. Denise Dadika has more.
So it is broader than the Federal Equal Pay Act and many state laws, including New York, which limit the protections to sex. New Jersey law requires that employers provide equal compensation and benefits for substantially similar work. This is another departure from the federal law, which requires equal pay for equal work. Employers should work with legal counsel to conduct privileged pay equity studies, to identify any wage differentials, and to determine whether they can justify those wage differentials under New Jersey's law. In the event that they find unresolved pay differences, once the act is in effect, they cannot correct those by lowering the wage of the higher earner.
The 11th Circuit says individuals can choose to become plaintiffs when an FLSA collective action is not certified. The three-judge panel rejected the district court's ruling that three dancers did not qualify as parties because the original lead plaintiff lost her bid for conditional class certification. Because the three dancers filed written consents to join the suit, and because the lower court did not determine they were not similarly situated to the original plaintiff, the court found that their claims should not have been dismissed with prejudice. NLRB General Counsel Peter Robb weighs in on the board's 2014 ambush election rule. Robb was appointed by President Trump and confirmed last year. He recently suggested increasing the minimum required time between the filing of a petition and a vote on union representation from 8 to at least 12 days. Robb also commented that the board's regional directors should have the ability to extend hearing dates by an additional 3 days. The NLRB's request for information on the 2014 rule closed on April 18th. The board was seeking input on whether to modify, withdraw, or leave the rule unchanged. Close to 7,000 comments were received. The Internal Revenue Service has issued FAQ guidance on the new employer tax credit for paid family and medical leave. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 added the credit for businesses who voluntarily offer paid family and medical leave for employees. To receive the credit, employers must provide at least 2 weeks a year of paid family and medical leave to all qualifying full-time employees. The guidance defines qualifying employees, explains how the credit is calculated, and clarifies how the credit impacts deductions for wages paid to an employee on leave. Finally, it's time for our tip of the week. Lenora Billings-Harris, diversity strategist for Ubuntu Global, is back with some advice on enhancing intentional inclusion in the workplace.
Often when I am speaking to executives, they ask me the same question when it comes to unconscious bias and employee engagement. The question is, what can I do to be more comfortable around people different than myself? My answer is be basic. Now, be basic is actually an acronym. The first B stands for breathe. Be willing to take in the oxygen necessary for your brain's protein and glucose to get in gear and enable you to slow down, to become more calm. The second B is be the other. What I mean by that is be willing to go to places where you are the person who is different. Ask for feedback. Suspend judgment. Include others. The last letter is C. Check your ego at the door. This is probably the hardest one because we've convinced ourselves we're right about whatever judgments we have about other people. Be willing to check that ego at the door so that you can become more curious about people different than you. In other words, be basic.
Thanks, Lenora. You can visit EBG Law on YouTube for an extended version of that tip. That's it for Employment Law this week. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.